It's April the 19th, 2006. We're at the home of Terry Graham on Gant Street in Mooresville. And Mr. Graham, we thank you very much for letting us come here and interview you for the Mooresville Museum. And we would like for you to tell us a little bit about, we understand you're a taxi driver. Tell us how you got started in that, and when and where you got started in that.
I got started in 1946 when I came out of service. My cousins was running the taxi. In fact, it was in the family from 1926 up to that time. My uncle owned it for about 7 or 10 years, and then his son-in-laws took over and they run it till 1946. I bought it from them, and I ran it from 1946 to 1902. In 1903.
2003?
Yeah, okay. 2003. My son's wife took over in 2003. And when I first started driving taxi in 1936, we only had 2 thoroughfare roads through Mooresville. That was 21 from Statesville to Charlotte, and 150 from Salisbury to Lincoln. There was only 2 thoroughfare roads through Mooresville at that time. And I saw a lot of changes made, Ricky. There was no streets at city limits. Mostly all of them was dirt. Take Academy Street was from Wilson Avenue up to
Iredale?
No, it wasn't Iredale at that time. Iredale run from the low end of town from I forget now what street.
4th Street, where the old high school used to be?
Old high school was on Moore and Academy. Academy run to what? This street right up here, but a chair factory.
I'm not sure which one.
Patterson Avenue.
Okay, Patterson.
It runs to Patterson, from Wilson to Patterson Avenue, but the road wasn't from Iredale, like you say. There wasn't no street from Iredale, from Academy over to 150. That wasn't no streets at that time. The streets from Bell Street run out to Iredale and back to Patterson Avenue. Wasn't just that little street in there. And from the hospital on Statesville Avenue, from the Center Street up to Church Street, you couldn't get from Church Street up to Main Street. There was no road there. And from Main Street to Statesville Avenue, it was. And down on the Mill Hill, mostly all those streets were dirt streets when I came to Mooresville.
Well, being a taxi driver, I'm sure you were familiar with all the streets and where they were paved or covered, or which were good ones and which were bad ones.
Well, there was no streets hardly paved anymore from Wilson Avenue, from back down to the golf course. That was all mud at that time I come on board from. And from Center Street over where the senior high school is, that was the end of Center Street. There was no through there on out to Idell. That was farmland in that time.
Well, now, when you took over the business and bought it, at that time it became Terry's Taxi?
Yeah, yeah.
What was it called prior to that?
Prior to that, Stewart's Taxi.
All right, and where were you headquartered, or where did you operate from?
Where did I operate from?
Yeah.
That little building behind Charlie Mack's there, there was a little barber shop in that alley there where they use parking lot now.
Kind of across from the Tribune office?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we started operating from.
And then sometime later than that you moved, didn't you?
Yeah, we moved. I moved several times. I went down there on Amico, stayed there longer than anywhere else, I reckon. And then I got that place across the street there where it's on McClellan Avenue. Yeah. They had there where the barber shop is. That lady, they had to clean up that was all grown up, and they had to clean it up. And the lady's husband was dead. She asked me to clean it up, and she said if I cleaned it up, that I could have that place behind there on McClellan, and I stayed there till he bought that, I reckon, in 1980s, and I was going to have to move from there, and they put telephones in the car. The first telephone I had, we had them in the car, the horn would blow when we got a call.
I'm going to pause this just for a second. You look much better now.
All right, you mentioned that driving a taxi ran in your family. Tell us something about what your father did.
What my father did? Well, there ain't much I can tell you about my father because he was in New York and we were here.
But didn't you say he was a taxi driver?
Yeah, he was a taxi driver, yeah. But I knew nothing about it.
I would think you would rather drive a taxi in Mooresville than in New York.
Huh?
I say you would probably rather drive a taxi in Mooresville than in New York.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Tell us something about you ran a taxi cab service in Mooresville. What were some of the other industries or businesses that were run by from the black community?
Well, there was a little restaurant and a barber shop there on the corner of Cheryl Street and McClellan. There was a barber shop and a
Now that part of town was sometimes referred to as West End?
West End, yeah.
Okay.
And I had a little cafe run about 10 years right below there, where across from the Baptist church there on McClellan. You remember that little old streetcar?
I think I do. That was still down West End.
West End, yeah. Yep. School children used to come across there and get hot dogs at lunchtime.
What was the name of that?
That school,
No, the name of the little restaurant.
the restaurant, 46 Diner. 46 Diner, that was all over Mooresville. Now, that was about the only. Bill Allison opened up a barber shop and hooked on the Eastern Hike over there on Cabarrus Street. You remember when that was over there?
I know where Cabarrus is, but I don't remember a barber shop.
Yeah, the barber shop and the cafe, it's all tore down, nothing down. They just built houses over there now. Them was only black. Now you want to know something about some of the white business? Or you probably got all that down.
Well, you go ahead and tell us things that you remember from back then.
Well, W.W. Rankins was in the corner of McClellan and Center Street and Main Street. They got quite a big cafe in there now. I know that's where we used to come and get our overalls every fall of the year from Max Fair, from W.W. Rankins. And they had two banks there. The little bank was Mooresville. What was it? The Merchant and Farmers Bank was up there on the corner of Iredell and Main, yeah. But this little bank there right beside the D.E. Turner store.
I only remember that as First National Bank.
National Bank, that's what it was, National Bank, right there. It's a little small bank, but.
And that bank has merged 3 or 4 times and is now part of Bank of America.
Yeah.
Can we go back a second to when you were driving a taxi? What types of fares did you have in your taxi? Did you take school kids, or did you take adults, or?
We hauled anybody that wanted to go. We hauled school kids. We had good business in school kids. School kids helped our business. If the children talked about us and liked us, their parents would use us. When I started driving taxis, I reckon there wasn't 10 women in Mooresville driving a car at the time I started. There was 3 doctors that patronized us. Dr. McClellan, Dr. Taylor, and Dr. Sloan. They did all their riding with us, and we'd take their clothes to the laundry and pick them up. And anything they needed, they needed a taxi, we got their business.
When you ferried the school children around, I had read someplace that a lot of times that the taxis were used almost like a school bus, that you didn't just pick up one child and take it to school and pick up somebody, that you picked up a lot of children at once. Is that true?
We just went around. And most of the people would catch us or either come to us to ask us to pick up their children. We had just a regular route. We went and picked up a load. We could have so many, 7 at a time. We could cross at least 7 and come back and get others.
So you made several trips.
Yeah.
To be able to get this many.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the fare?
What was the fare? Fare when I started was 25 cents a mile. 25 cents all over town. You go all over town for 1 quarter.
Can't do that anymore, can you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were there lots of other, or were there many other taxi businesses in town?
Only 3. Smith Taxi and
Smith was down on South Main Street.
Yeah,
beside
it's all,
where
Blackwell, across from Blackwell, yeah. And Flip's taxi was up there, the way the bank is now,
that beach,
Main Street. So, yeah.
kind of beside the Citizen Center,
Yeah.
right in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Beaver opened up, he was down there beside where the first, this big bank right there on Main Street now. There was a little old hotel in there. And Beaver's taxi was right there next to them.
You can know the taxi question related.
No, that was.
That's a good pickup. What about black churches in Mooresville? Tell us something about how many there are, or how many there used to be, or something about them.
Well, at that time I went to First Baptist Church down there where it is now, Campbell's Missionary Baptist.
On McClellan.
Yeah, McClellan. And up there on Statesville Avenue, it's Watkins Chapel. And we had a little church on Eastern Hike on Sharp Street. Stewart Chapel, they called it, Stewart Chapel. Them was about the only three churches in Mooresville at that time when I started.
Stewart is no longer there, right?
Huh?
Stewart Chapel is no longer there.
No longer there, no. It's on Patterson Avenue now, Faith United Methodist Church.
There's some other churches now too, right?
Yeah. You got the Church of Christ on McClellan Avenue. And then you got Baptist Church on Neal Street behind McClellan Avenue Street. And my Mariah up there on Cascade now used to be a Baptist church, white church, and they bought that, and there's a black church in there.
You got a Presbyterian church on Broad Street.
Yeah, that's always been there. I forgot that when I named the first three. There were four
That
black
was
churches.
Reed Memorial.
Yeah, there were four there at that time. There's about six now. 6 or 7.
You mentioned that your wife worked at the hospital at one time,
Yeah,
at Lawrence. I remember somebody that used to work there by the name of Eddie Graham.
yeah,
Now, Eddie probably knew as many people in town as anybody.
yeah.
Tell us something about Eddie. Or
About Ed. Eddie was supposed to be my first cousin. He was my uncle's son. Eddie was something ain't many people Eddie didn't know. And he was a talker. He met everybody a friend.
Probably everybody that went to the hospital knew him when they left.
Yeah.
Now, he lived on West End somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah, he
He
lived.
walked, didn't he?
Huh? Yeah.
He usually walked to
He
the front
walked
door.
there. He lived right there by where United Church of Christ is now. Right beside of there. That's where he lived. All the time I knew him until he got married and then he moved away from there. Until he stayed there till he had to go to the hospital.
I remember as a young boy, probably back in the late 40s or sometime in the 40s, there was a big fire down on West End, probably on the McClellan that was kind of late at night, and you could see it all over town. There was a house that burned down. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
This was right on McClellan, and it seemed like about everybody in town walked down that way, or where they could see it, or.
I'm trying to, I don't remember that.
When the trains came in through Mooresville,
Hmm?
when the train tracks were busy and came through Mooresville, the trains came in. Did you pick up any business on the trains when they came in?
I don't understand what you're saying.
They had a regular commuter run, a regular train that came in through Mooresville and stopped in Mooresville, and some of them had passenger cars on them. Were you ever called there to pick up passengers?
You ever call to pick up that? Yeah.
At the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
And how did they do that? Did they go into the depot itself, or were you waiting there, or how did that happen?
Well, most of the time they called when we were right across from the depot. Most of the time somebody would walk around there and say they need a taxi at the train station.
So that you were close enough they could just yell at you?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Didn't have many telephones at that time.
How many cabs did you have? Did you have just the one taxi?
No, when I started off with one, and I ran for about 2 months, and I bought another one, and I kept adding. I had 7 one time.
So did you have a driver for each one?
Each cab, yeah,
Okay.
drive for each cab, yeah.
And how many cabs do you have now?
Now,
Yeah.
in fact, he's just operating 2 right now.
So I see them every once in a while. I
Yeah.
don't know how many there were.
When I turned it over to him, we had 4. I had cut it back to 4.
Uh-huh.
But this cat has killed everything now.
Uh-oh.
And I've talked to the town about it, and back when we were driving, we couldn't pick up nobody free, but now they can pick up anybody. It's supposed to be for citizens, but anybody can pick up and ride for $1 now. They can take them to Walmart or anywhere in town for $1, and they call them and they come back and get them. Take them home for $1. That knocked us out of fare.
Yeah.
But nothing we can do about it. Because we fought it, we tried to stop it, but
Right. Was during the Depression and during the strike that they had at the mill, during the war, was there any change in your business because of that?
changing of the war,
Yeah.
no.
So it didn't affect you.
Yeah.
You never had a problem getting gasoline?
No, never have.
Did you get ration coupons that you used?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But they always gave you enough that you were able to stay?
Yeah, I've always had plenty of gasoline. Price has jumped up now, though.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your education?
About my education.
Where you went to school, what that was like? Did you walk to school, or?
I walked to school. I went to school 1 year and didn't miss a day. Went every day.
Did you like school?
I liked school. I loved school. I wanted to be a professional ball player, but I had operation in 1936. And you know, back then you stayed in bed 9 days and you got up so weak, and they didn't allow me to play ball for a year. And so that just took all of that away from me. I love baseball, and I loved what we call it Mathematics, I love that, but I don't follow it too much now. But I love rheumatoid.
Did you go to, were you able to go to many of the games that the Mooresville Moors played?
Did I used to go to? Yeah, I used to didn't miss them down in the ballpark. I had a little American League team we operated about 3 years here in Moore, but we played on the lights down in the ballpark.
And you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. We went to Stateville and played them under the lights. We played several teams around.
What position did you play?
Well, I was a catcher.
It's hard on the knees?
Yeah.
Was there anything special that you remember about the ball teams here in Mooresville?
Do I remember?
Yeah, anything special about it? Anything that was
Well,
back fond memories?
no, you take like when Eddie Matthews was playing down at Mooresville, and the what you call them boys over here played. Didn't miss their games. They were playing. We had to be there. It was nice.
It was the good old days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Another memory I have of when I was a boy, when Miller Drug Company was on North Main Street. There was a fellow that worked there for the Prices that delivered, and I think his name was Lawrence.
Lawrence
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Lawrence Thomas.
he knew a lot of people in town.
Yeah. Lawrence lived on Westmore Avenue. You take Westmore, run up there to Idale. It didn't go on up Patterson Avenue. There wasn't no road across there. It just went up there and stopped. And then when they cut Idale across there, Westmore and Patterson run together.
Do you remember the name Louise Woods?
Yeah. She was over there on Eastern Heights, living in Eastern Heights. She worked for the this big company. They was I can't call her.
While you're
name.
trying to think of that, she was a real good cook.
Yeah.
She worked at our house
Sure.
for when, I don't know, my mother was sick or my grandmother lived with us, but
Yeah.
she was like a mother to us,
Yeah.
and she could really cook.
Yeah. What was that big lumber company there on Main Street?
Bargers?
Bargers. She worked for Bargers, yeah. Yeah, she was Bargers cook there for years.
What about Claude Davis? Do you remember Claude Davis?
Who?
I think his last name was Davis. He worked at Presbyterian Church.
Oh, yeah.
Smoked cigars all the time.
Yeah, he was a Davis. He lived on Charlotte Street. That's right off of West McClellan.
I'm good.
I wanted to talk about his mother. Can you tell us a little bit about your mother?
About my mother?
You mentioned that she was a slave. You mentioned she was a slave. Your mother was a slave.
Was a slave. My grandmother was a slave.
Your grandmother was a slave. Okay.
Yeah.
And who worked on the railroad?
What?
You mentioned, was it your mother or your grandmother
My grandmother
worked on the railroad?
worked on the railroad, when they first put the railroad down, she was a Catholic from Davison. She belonged to the Catholics at Davison. And she got married to a sheriff. He came from up around Catawba. But she used to talk about driving the cart from Mooresville to Troutman. She probably drove it from Statesville up that far, but she talked mostly about Mooresville and Troutman, the road between Mooresville and Troutman. She drove an ox cart.
What did they carry on the ox cart?
Huh?
What did they carry on the ox cart?
What did they carry? I imagine they carried the stone and probably cross ties.
So
Mm-hmm.
materials for the railroad?
Yeah.
That must have been hard work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did your mother do?
My mother, we were farmers, and she took that farmers. She cooked for some people down on the Mill Hill. Back in the winter when we were going to school, she used to be down there working and come home at night and in the evening.
Yeah, you guys, did you own a farm? Did you rent a farm?
No, my grandfather owned the
You
farm.
owned a farm.
Yeah.
Whereabouts was the farm?
Whereabouts was the farm? Behind McKenzie Chapel Church. Had 75 acres back down there, and you can't tell where we ever lived down there now.
What kind of crops did you raise?
With cotton, peas. My grandfather mostly raised peas and nice potatoes. That was his money. He never was much of a cotton farmer. He raised peas and iced potatoes. That was his money.
Where did he sell his crops?
Huh?
Where did he sell his crops?
Mooresville. We'd drive around, bring the wagon load to Mooresville and sell it. And he was a beehiver. He sold honey. I mean, everybody looked for his honey in the spring of the year. We want sweet gum honey. It's always come out pretty light kind.
Did he get the honey out of the hives?
Huh?
Did he get the honey out of the beehives?
Yeah, he raised bees. And a swarm of bees, he never lost a swarm of bees. One to come by, he'd catch it.
So if somebody had a swarm of bees at their house, he'd go and get it and bring it back to the farm?
Yeah.
And how did he do that?
How did he do that? We'd catch them in a tree like that out there. We'd sort of lay them off and bring the whole bunch back.
Okay.
And they would go in a box and make honey.
Did you serve in the military?
Huh?
Did you serve in the military?
Yeah.
What branch?
Worked the Army. I was in quartermaster in the Army.
Where did you go overseas?
Yeah. I went to Africa, India, and back home.
Was the unit you were in just made up of black men, or was it?
No, mixed.
It was a mixed group.
Mixed. We had no trouble. We was mixed when we got on the ship in the Virginia. We was mixed, white and black all together. We went overseas like that and stayed over there 18 months and never had a bit of trouble with that. Come back to, you kind of get used to being with people and different. We come back to New York. We were all together in New York. Loaded up the train in New York and come down to Virginia. And that's when they separated us. And it was a terrible thing. I mean, we had done forgot all of that. I mean, I reckon we just felt like one another. And we got on to Durham, and somebody there in Durham said, all you niggas get back on the train. And that was a terrible thing. I bet you in an hour there was 1,000 police around that train. They got us all back on there. We come on back to New York, North Carolina, and that was the end of it.
Did you keep in contact with any of those men that you served with?
No.
No.
Just one or two drifted away, but they all did now.
Did you feel any discrimination when you got back to Mooresville, or
Did I
it been pretty nice here?
It's pretty nice here. I mean, you were raised here, you know what you could do and what you couldn't do. But the only trouble Mooresville had when Dr. Luther King was killed, that evening they sure closed up everything. All the stores and everything closed up that day.
Anything else?
Did you call anything else, any interesting things?
No,
Anything you'd like
no.
to tell us about?
No, nothing much. I've covered all about everything.
Any interesting fares you had?
Hmm?
Any interesting fares you had when you had your taxi, or unusual things that you had to carry from one place to another, or?
No, I never had any trouble. We've always had good trouble. Nobody never tried to rob me or attempt to rob me. I've had some few to get out and run, not pay.
Did you fare any celebrities?
Huh?
Any celebrities or famous people?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Well, Terry, we really appreciate your sharing with us, and this has been an interesting interview, and on behalf of the Mooresville Museum, we thank you very much. You've been very, very good to us.
Well,
Thank you.
I hope I did some good to you. Some of your grandchildren probably see it later on.
That's one reason we're doing it. Thank you.